Game 1. Bokonko versus Delta. Let's see who gets the first weapon. And Bokonko gets already the first nair. Nice. And they're just starting to swing with those sidelights, Tripped.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because they're both running the Black Taros. Obviously, we got Roman Reigns on Bokonko's end, but still, they both got the Snow Shovel Axe. You know, like, that just shows that not only is the meta solved, but also the drip meta is solved too, because everyone loves this axe.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good axe, but at the same time, there's got to be better. It's okay. We don't judge too hard. But right now, Bokonko is getting a little bit more damage onto Delta. They're both on the hammer right now with the consistent KOing tools. It's only going to take a couple more for Delta to get that. A nice GC D-Light into his stomps there. And wow, a ground pound to snipe out that stock. Delta showing why Taros is just so strong. Bokonko had such a huge lead in the beginning there, and yet it was just evaporated in mere seconds.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the Taros v Taros type of gameplay here. You're never gonna expect it. As you saw, and as you said, Delta was in such a good lead. But all of a sudden, Bokonko stock got away first, even though now he's at 211 damage. Finally KO'd, and now equaling stocks Bokonko. Perhaps swapping back on the X, and yes, indeed, maybe we're gonna see some sidelight nairs, you know, your bread and butter, just to build up some damage. The nice double there, nicely dodged the second one. Delta fighting back. Okay, nice stomp into scoop.
Bokonko keeping himself a little bit more aerial. He wants to get those down airs and nairs to build the damage consistently. Otherwise, you're going to be committing a lot more to a lot of axe moves, such as that end light that caused him to get punished. And look at that damage. Relatively even at the moment. Delta picking up the hammer, looking for a stomp there, but receives a side light nair instead. Now, quick recovery on the stage, but Bokonko gets him unarmed. Now grabs a hammer. He's definitely going to be looking for a scoop. A nair won't quite KO yet. He's keeping himself low to the ground, looking for the stomp, but a scoop up instead. Bokonko now takes the lead. Still relatively even, though, and it's only going to take one stomp there to clear out this stock. So let's see what kind of extra cut he can get. Delta looking for the weapon, gets two side lights, goes for a gravity cancel side light. I can only imagine that was a misinput. I don't know what the idea was there, but he's able to disarm him. Oh, GC ground pound, or not ground pound. There's no such thing as a GC ground pound, but there is a GC D heavy. Oh, okay. Got some big damage. Nice scoop up, Delta taking that stock.
Yeah, the Delta now with some 90 damage on himself, which can definitely build up to a KO really fast when it comes to Taros. Sidelight nair Sair, nicely dodged up though by Delta, reading that situation. Even though on 138 damage, Bokonko with the perfect stock finish of the game 1. Nice showing of Bokonko.
Absolutely. And, you know, even though most Taros players like to hover over to the hammer when it comes to KOs, right, they're showing the power of the axe side air. It might be slow, but when it hits very, very hard. So it is something you have to look out for. But they're getting right back into things. Same picks, same map. It's just, yeah, GG go next, really.
This is your top tier, quote unquote, brawlhalla right here, you know, for all of you. Top tier EU, I should say, I guess. Because, yeah. This is pretty much as even as it can get. This can go either way, 100%. It's all about who plays better in this matchup and this set, in my opinion. And so far, Bokonko and Delta seem quite even,
like,
even though...
Do you see that damage? Do you see that damage? They've only hit each other a couple of times, and yet they're already getting into the 100. Look at that! I mean, there's just no understating. There's no understating it.
Stomps there. No, nair, almost enough to KO up the top with 178 damage. That's ridiculous, Trip. That is ridiculous with a light attack. Come on, man. And light, not enough. 199 damage. Bokonko somehow still makes it all the way back to the stage. Gets punched into the air though, and gets that third stock dealt with. Delta with a nice and healthy lead, but again, we can't really say that when it's Taros v Taros.
Yep, but Delta pick up the axe, definitely the better damage building weapon if he can get a good flow state going, but that was a nice little string coming out from Bokonko. Nails a cider as well, and that's going to take the stock, only 42 damage, which honestly, that's like 2 hits for Taros, so really not a big lead, but Delta looking for the weapon right now, gets himself an axe, now he's got an axe v axe, and once again, both of them are looking for those aerials. The grounded moves are just way too committal to go against good players like this. They've really got to be careful. Nice side air coming up from Bokonko, another one to push him out towards the edge. Delta finds his way back on stage. Down air again. That builds up some really good damage.
Yeah, Bokonko setting already Delta to the 100s, 149 exactly, and that's so much damage already. The Stomp Sair getting rid of that stock immediately. that's just your bread and butter. What else can you do? And now back on the X, perhaps hoping for those just aerials, as you said, because those grounded options are definitely a lot more committal. And in this sort of matchup, you really cannot commit to those unless you're extremely confident or unless you got like a hefty lead where you can just, you know, throw some options like Bokonko is doing right now, but it's definitely not working, getting sniped all the way by that hammer, all the way down there, and now equalizing stocks. Delta, as you saw, he was quite in the deficit, and now it's just an even game once again.
Indeed.
Oh man!
Whittling down that lead.
Oh no!
Wait!
Back.
Oh
Oh my god, the ground pound! Perfect choice from Delta, knowing exactly I had to dodge up, stuffing that immediately with a ground pound. That was perfect from Delta. And all of a sudden, it's a 1-1 trip. As I said,
Indeed.
Can go either way.
Absolutely can, yes. In just a second, it could go from, you know, like you said, a detrimental lead in one player's favor. All of a sudden, it's even, and then it's the other player who's ahead and soaring.
Yes.
And especially when you've got something like that ground pound. I mean, you know, the large hitbox of the hammer ground pound can just catch you off guard. You never really know when it's going to connect, so you've really got to be careful off stage against hammer. Whether you're below them for the recovery, whether you're above them for the scoop or the ground pound, it's just off stage against hammer, not the place you want to be. But honestly, you don't want to be on stage against it either. So you're just doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. So let's just get into this third game here, back to the Demon Island, and relatively even so far.
Relatively even though, again, Bokonko gets a slight lead, but never mind. As soon as I say that, you know what? I probably won't even talk about leads anymore, because there's no point trip. Like, this is ridiculous. All of a sudden, because that's all you need. You need a stomp stare to just get the lead, especially when you're such good players. You're so close to each other in terms of damage. That GC side save was pristine coming up from Delta. But somehow, still even damage, scoop upwards, Bokonko takes the lead again, in terms of stocks at least, for now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was like the first signature to be thrown out all game, I believe. And now Delta just taking a page look at that, going for multiple signatures. He heard me say that. He's like, okay, I could add on to that. You know, Teros' signatures are really, really powerful, but at the same time, they can be kind of risky, especially like that axe side sig. I was definitely not expecting that to come out because a lot of pro players that play, you know, Teros, they don't really go for it all too often. D-Sig will get punished by the axe inlights, but Delta, there's a lot of damage built up onto him. And I'm not sure which weapon is queued up for Bokonko, but if it's a hammer, I can only imagine one stomp stare will be all it needs, and there it is, yeah. And I just realized they also have the same hammer. There's no way this wasn't planned. Okay, well, it's also not planned for Bokonko to get demolished right now. Look at that lead. Gone in mere moments. A reverse side air, barely not KOing. He's going to sail right over that weapon throw, but a scoop?
The scoop?
Not going to KO yet. Keeping off the weapon. Nice there. Delta steals the lead.
Steals the lead indeed, and man, such a great showing from Delta. Just absolutely demolishing Bokonko's first stock, as you said. And now he's even struggling to get a weapon, or perhaps that was the plan? Maybe try to bait him there. Nice. Into recovery, just getting some sort of damage on an arm, but unable to do so. Delta now in edgeguard situation, and he just falls off the wall by not touching it even. And Bokonko, again, equalizing stocks like it's nothing.
You know, I respect the attempt from Delta there. Obviously, he's very, very low, especially against Teros. He knew it wouldn't take long for him to get KO'd the regular way, so might as well go for something special. And as you can see, the damage lead is starting to get up there, but Bokonko fighting back, finding himself some axe aerials and inlight as well to push Delta off stage. There is a weapon spawn. I can imagine that he's looking for the hammer soon. Yep, there it is. The swap over, gets a nair, goes for another one. It's going to miss, though. They're very, very even here. Both of them going for these gravity cancel delays to try and pick up their opponents. That one's gonna whiff. Bokonko on the axe, starving Delta. Gives himself a GC delay to the nair. Looking side sig.
Side sig barely whiffed. Side sig barely whiffed. Trying to get the side there. Nice GCN light. Delta can get this. Unless, the gravity cancel down late into recovery. That was so close to KOing as well off the top. And now Delta in an edgeguard situation. Bokonko is absolutely fiending for this stomp stare right now. Look at this trip. They're both going at it. Stomp stare coming up from Bokonko and takes the game. 2-1 for Bokonko, and that was so close at the end there.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're just both basically shimmying on top of each other, waiting for one of them to throw out a D-light so they could just do a gravity cancel D-light in the other direction. And yeah, Bokonko will find his way on top in that situation and find himself in a 2-1 lead. But at the same time, all these games have been pretty even. We did see one clean stock in the first game, but still, in the grand scheme of things, it has been very, very even. So I can imagine
Yeah.
that Delta will be looking to even things up against his clanmate here, but it's going to be hard. Here we go. Game number 4 still on the Demon Islands. Let's see how Delta will respond. We are in the winner's side of the bracket, so if Delta is eliminated here, he won't be out of the tournament just yet. But at the same time, I can imagine he wants this desperately. So let's see how we can fight back.
Of course. I mean, of course, it doesn't matter how much you're like in deficit. You gotta be just have that mindset of, no, I'm in the winner's side. I am going to stay in the winner's side no matter what's happening. And I don't know, it's looking more dire and dire by each minute for Delta here. Unless Stomp's here coming out. Okay, 160 damage, but as we saw before, Bokonko like stealing stocks like it's just like, stealing candy from a baby. You know, like, look at this. Okay, back on the hammer, the downlight, the GC stomp into scoop upwards, and he gets the stock again. That's why it was like, no, it looks dire for Delta, even though he was at a damage advantage. Because I knew what Bokonko can do.
Well, I've noticed that Delta is really not afraid to go for these GCD lights, probably get a recovery or a ground pound, and while I respect it, at the same time, he's getting punished more and more on them, and against Teros, you just really can't give up that type of damage. But, okay, he might have some sort of game plan cooking up. I gotta see it. Okay, nice recovery. Looked for a cider afterwards, but gonna drift a little bit too far in the other direction. Both looking for a cider. There's a raw one coming up from Bokonko, who will ground pound. Gets hit by the recovery. There it is, GCD light. It's the stop. Okay, back into the stage. Okay, nice recovery from Bokonko. Almost got his stock stolen there, and now he's keeping Delta off the weapon, but once again, going for that GCD-like combo. Builds up some good damage now with the weapon, but he's going to throw it because, you know, Axe is not really that good for KOing. Nice stomp there. Delta just barely hanging on in this situation. Gonna match his scoops coming. Nope, not going to hit on this one, though. A cider sending to the side. Oh, the ground pound attempt.
Situation here. Okay, weapon throw, stomps there, and he gets the lead, but barely. Delta is doing so much tripped, and it seems like he barely gets a lead. Bokonko, yeah, just take stocks. It doesn't matter. This is a stock bargain sale for Bokonko. Like, it does not matter how much lead you have. He's just gonna hit you once with the stomps there, and all of a sudden, you're just gone. Like, your stock is gone. And now look at this, equal stocks, even though Delta is struggling so much to get damage. You see all of those crazy options coming out of him. And Bokonko just uses those simple end lights and down airs just to get him off of his flow. And it just works. Even though right now, Delta is definitely in the lead. Oh, Sarah, this could be it for Bokonko. And a ground pound to fully confirm that stock. Nicely played. And we're going straight to game 5.
Absolutely. A very back and forth battle here. And we saw that usually, you know, they go for some of the more complex options. But in that case, Delta was like, you know what? You're not going to expect this raw ground pound. And indeed he didn't, because Bokonko dodged right into the stage and got hit by that ground pound. So sending him to the Oblivion, that'll be a 2-2. Now going to the game 5. And I believe, I didn't see for a second, but I believe it's going to be the same map. Why mix things up in the game 5, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this has been an absolutely just powerhouse of a set here, Trip, in terms of just Teros prowess, you know? Like, obviously, it's not the most interesting set out there, but you gotta respect how good both of these players are on this character. Like, look at this. They're just even Steven, stealing stocks on each other, and now we're straight into game 5, even though we thought just Bokonko's gonna run away with it because of those stock steals. And no! Delta proved us wrong, but man, seems like Bokonko's angry about it.
Okay, a cider's gonna come out. Delta's disarmed. A nice pickup, but a little bit too far after the stomp to get any sort of confirm. Bokonko might be feeling that one. He is gonna need something quickly here. A nice nair isn't gonna do it though. It goes for another one, but a nice decent comes out from Delta, taking up that stock. What is he gonna opt for? It's gonna be the Axe. He wants to keep himself aerial, get these nairs, get these dares. Here it comes. D-Light's gonna whiff. It doesn't hit grounded anymore. There's the end light. Even things up completely. And I'm interested to see, will he stick to the hammer himself, or will it be also an Axe Ditto? Yes, it will. Okay.
All right, Axe Ditto it is. Getting some, once again, those aerials, they're so important and crucial in this just situation. Getting the advantage though, Bokonko with those down airs, nicely placed, and getting those dodge reads as well. But Delta retaliating with a nice recovery as well. Nice end light again from Bokonko. Second one. Is it gonna be a third one? No! Delta gets the last laugh there with the first end light on his own. Second one now. Edgeguard situation. Side-eye nair. Tries to go for the second nair. Oh! Okay, this is neck and neck. Ooh. Oh, what a spot dodge read coming out for Bokonko with that down signature. Tripped.
I know.
This is crazy. This is crazy close.
Delta is doing a really good job, I have to say, of keeping himself in like the horizontal range, and he's doing like weapon throw end light, weapon throw end light. He hit it multiple times, but at the same time, Bokonko is starting to adapt back, hits 2 end lights. That's detrimental damage. Jeez, that sider just barely not hitting, and I gotta say that might have been a KO. Okay, another sider coming out. Delta is on the brink. He's looking up for the end light. There's another one. There's 156 damage. That's got to be one more end light and a cider that would absolutely beat the stock. Delta is playing on thin ice right now. Goes for a gravity cancel side sync. That was way too hasty, Delta. I don't know. It's just looking more and more dire. Man. There it is. The stomp Sarah. Bokonko gonna take it with a 2 stock, 3-2.